able to meet Tai Lopez.
Yeah.
Like the first business guru we ever saw online.
If you're willing to go somewhere and try to do it, you'll manage to get there.
The speed of the technology.
A computer can hack a simple password just like that. I just checked right away what was going on, and sure enough, one of my tires was getting loose.
There you have it, episode 2 here of our podcast.
Yeah, episode number 2. You guys may have watched the last one, but the last one was kind of a journey about where we started and kind of our little history of what we did and why we got to where we were. And today we're gonna continue talking more about the business.
Yeah, continuing the story.
Exactly.
Basically where we left off, and from that point on, and we said we had some goals while we're doing that, what we wanted to do, what we wanted to achieve. So we're gonna get to all those things. And we're gonna start off first with which was the first thing, which was to do more local.
Yes.
Right?
So we left you guys off with us basically doing our business, so Twin Code Media, and basically doing this locally in our area, and that's what we were doing. And so far, it's been really, really well. We've been really happy. We hit a lot of our goals, which is amazing. We've been reinvesting into our business a lot.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun.
Yes.
We got a lot of new gear too.
Yeah, new
which
gear,
we wanted to get some
upgrades.
Goals. Yeah. We have a new camera now on this podcast as well. We didn't have a 4K camera for the B cam.
Yes, exactly.
It was the other Canon camera we had. So now we have 2 Sonys.
Yeah.
So we have a nice light too.
We did some necessary business upgrades.
Yeah.
Also got some extra software that we needed and purchased. And so far, it's going really well. So, and those terms of things, we did hit our goals that we had in mind from the last podcast. And yeah, it's just been a really, really good summer so far. You guys all know we're heading right into winter now.
Yeah,
it's
crazy,
getting cold. This is the time of year when video becomes a little bit of a struggle, especially if you're doing it outside, because it gets cold, the gear gets cold, the batteries don't last as long.
Yeah, it all depends because it's to make it look nice, right?
That's right.
If we get a lot of snow, it looks nice.
That's true. That's worth it.
If it's slushy and freezing rain, that's what it could look nice in the beginning when the ice is still stuck on some trees and stuff. But besides that, if it's such gray, the snow's gray, not white, that's when it looks it's a little tough.
It's a little more of a challenge, but hey, that's just how it is. But we'll be focusing a little bit more on the web, of course, too, because the web development side of things are also very promising for us. Yeah. And even just the way the world's going right now, everything going online, and just even the advancements that we're going to be touching today in the subject, that we're going to be touching today in this topic as well, is AI and blockchain technology, and just like
quantum
computing, just all the tech that we kind of got introduced to.
Yeah, I actually want to touch on that quick. Yeah, it's crazy to think at what stage we're at with AI when we did the podcast, last podcast, to this podcast. Yeah, and how fast it just ramped up with the technology.
It's actually crazy.
What the viewers don't actually know, or you guys, the community, what you guys don't actually know is that the first podcast was actually edited with AI.
Yeah. So this podcast will be edited with AI as well.
Now, when I say AI, people think it took me 2 seconds to edit. It actually took me quite long to edit. Still faster than editing it manually, but I sort of had this program that I could use to edit a 2-camera shoot, and I sort of made it work for 3 cameras. I had to do like multiple timelines, cut it together. Yeah, we kind of customized it. That's how we made it work. But so it's still a little finicky. So we'll see, because we haven't used it since. So we'll see where it is now. Made for this podcast.
It'd be cool to see. Yeah. But honestly, just the tech advancement from in the last like 6-5 months has been insane. It's actually crazy.
Especially in web, where we're into the industry we're into, the new technology for that, to make things easier, make things also quicker, and just make things I guess more user friendly too with that, right?
That's exactly, and that's actually one of the other things we worked towards was knowledge, like building our own knowledge base in the fields we're already working in, and staying up to date with the new tech, because if you don't keep along, or if you don't stay up to date with what's going on, you're gonna like fall behind, lose out on what's going on, lose out on opportunity, and even basically you're gonna just become like kind of ignorant towards it, which is not good either.
Or you might not utilize it because it's moving too fast, because you didn't start going with it from the very beginning, right?
So even though we may feel behind, it's still kind of good that we continue to go through and follow along.
Yeah, just to start to sort of see where things are.
Exactly, because it's always better to do that than to start now and be even more behind.
Yeah, but might as well start, right? And now I actually want to touch base on that. I actually want to say that if you look into it too much, you can get caught up into just chasing everything, and not finding the right thing. So there definitely is a balance into this.
Yeah, there's a balance you have to maintain.
And there's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So there's definitely sort of things that maybe just look at the things that you would sort of use, right? So like let's say ourselves for a second. We like video, we like web. So we look at new technology that's sort of in that space, so that we don't get overwhelmed with everything else that's happening around. So
But going into a little bit of some of the projects we did this summer, one really cool project we did was we actually were able to do a really cool video production, and that was actually just for a client that we had, and it was kind of around like a unique situation that we had to kind of capture and cover.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, that project.
Yeah, and so we ended up we used our creativity and made it something special instead of kind of doing the cookie cutter thing. That's what we really like to do, is just use our creativity, do something special, and do something unique and out of the box.
Yeah, and I believe that was the next project actually after that our podcast ended.
It was, yeah.
It was the very next project, and it was actually a little bit of a challenge for us because we had such a short timeline to do this. But we can get into that story now if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it's actually a web project, and we had to sort of be a little bit creative.
I wasn't thinking about that one. I was thinking about the video first, but
do you
we
want
also did the web project. We'll jump into the web one right now because that was actually really fun.
That's the one I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So we had a web project actually. It was for a client of ours, and it was actually regarding sort of a wine. Now they import wine. They're looking to import wine or start a business around that, and to kind of import special wine from Europe, and to also keep it safe here in their wine cellar. And they sort of mentioned that they want to showcase how they're doing it in a sustainable way, and also that the wine that they're importing is special. It has a story.
Yeah,
they went through many sort of changes along its journey of becoming wine, right?
They want to say that every bottle kind of has its own story, basically assigned to it, because every bottle went through different elements as it was the wine. It was natural. The grape was actually growing.
Exactly.
The grape was collecting energy from the sun. The grape was planted in earth that has minerals or even different soil types, which it collected over time. And that is all inside a bottle and captured in a bottle.
Exactly, captured in the bottle. And that story you can also sort of taste, right, when you drink the wine. Every wine bottle, every wine is different because of these elements that it sort of touches in its journey. And so they really want to showcase on how they actually keep that safe.
Yeah.
And we had to basically build a landing page for them, and they're heading to a convention in Europe to present this. And then they didn't sort of have anything unique to showcase.
Yeah.
So we had the challenge to build something.
It was a grind, but we got it done.
We had to build something. I would say it was like what, 5 days, 7 days?
I think it was 5 to 4 days.
Yeah, 5 to 4 days.
It's very tight timeline.
From finding out to going over there, taking a few photos, and then brainstorming and building.
Exactly.
Getting it live and putting it online, buying the domain.
Yeah.
All those things. It was quite a challenge, but we started with basically thinking about the idea. So now this client also has a wine cellar, which is really cool.
Yeah, they do. They have a really, really cool custom wine cellar or mine shaft.
And they really want to showcase that to sort of show that that's where the wine's being protected.
Yeah, exactly.
So now with all these sort of elements, we were brainstorming, and we came up that we could build a website that's a little bit interactive, and we could basically showcase that the bottle would be in its natural elements. So what we did, so I'll just basically say what we did.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually built sort of a forest. When you land at the page, it's like a forest, and the bottle is sticking out of the ground, and it's sort of in its natural elements, right? It's in the ground, and when you scroll down the page, you go underground with the wine bottle, and you enter into the wine cellar with the bottle. It sort of goes under, and then you can see how the label of the wine bottle
has
is
a story
inside of the wine cellar there, that window that's cut out in the dirt, and it says that with every bottle, or we protect every story in every bottle.
Exactly.
Something along the line of that, and the word story was right in the line in the middle of where the label of the bottle.
Yeah.
And then when you scroll further down, you can sign up. But so we had that idea because we're told that wine roots, they go deep underground and they sort of collect those minerals like you're mentioning.
Yeah.
And that's also why we did that sort of scroll going underground with the wine cellar, because it just makes sense, because that's sort of the journey the wine takes.
I'm pretty sure it's also, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how the wine collects. It's called, I think, tannin or tannin. Tannin, yeah. So it's like the red part of the red wine. That's actually how it's developed as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of science behind wine. It's crazy. Even like the way you drink it.
Even the different soils. There's like volcanic soil that wine grows in. There's like softer soils. There's more clay soils. It's all different stuff.
It all adds different flavor.
Yeah. Exactly.
And even the elements from outside, which is crazy. So we sort of showcased that in that way. And we had a lot of fun with that project because it was a challenge.
And we were allowed to be creative.
We could be creative with it.
The client let us do our thing.
Yeah, and we got it done.
Yeah.
And it sort of is like a little bit of parallax effect too. If you guys don't know what parallax is, it's when certain elements move quicker and slower on the site. So it gives it more of like a 3D feel. So we did that too. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that was a really fun client that we had. And then we also had a unique client where we also got to film a special event. So that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
And even just event-wise, we love also encapsulating and capturing the moment that happens at an event. So something special and unique. So either the atmosphere, we bring that across in the video, the type of people that were there. This, for example, was recently.
And the feeling too, right?
Yeah, it was more of like a fall/Halloween themed. So a little spooky, right? So you kind of encapsulate that, the evening, you put that into the fall look, you know? So that was really neat, and I love doing that stuff.
Yeah. We did quite a few projects actually during that time. A few other events too. And then we even did a few more like profile videos for businesses, so they could sort of showcase their story about what their business is about, and then also their product. And we could sort of add a little bit more of a creative flair to that by just showing more of the feeling of the business.
Yeah, their story and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was kind of the goals we also had, was to get more clients locally, which we managed to do.
And along that journey, we got more gear.
Yeah, got more gear. And then on top of that, our other goal that we had on the list was to network and connect with more people. And basically network within our area where we live, meet more business owners, meet people that are innovating.
Yeah, and like-minded
people, like-minded individuals, and even people that are doing different things.
Yeah,
unique things.
Yeah.
Right? Another goal we actually had was to get a mentor, to get a few mentors, and to also I actually forgot to add this, but also learn and read.
Yeah, but that was first with our mentor.
Yeah, so first with mentor.
So the main thing is that we want to get a few mentors, just in business in general,
which I highly recommend.
Some guidance, and honestly, it helped us a lot. We found a few mentors. Even one of our clients became one of our mentors. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Definitely get a mentor. It's like one of the best things to do. It's kind of like a cheat code a little bit, because you can learn off someone who's already experienced a lot of things that you're going through, and you can kind of relate and bounce off ideas, and they may be able to guide you just a little bit into the right direction. Even if they're just helping you a little, you can end up figuring it out much faster, and they may even help you even more, where they actually just kind of clearly put the road right in front of you. They're like, hey, you know what? Did you see this angle? Did you look at it this way? And you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't even look at it like that. You're like, wow, it's like one of the most obvious things, and you didn't see it.
Even instead of you just trial and erroring it, just ask the question, right? And they give you the answer.
Exactly. That's another one to actually ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions. So we were doing that. We had a few meetings with a few mentors.
Yeah.
And then they recommended, reading.
Yes.
And also we asked them how to read quicker, how to gain knowledge, what places are better to read, what to do, and we're actually told to use an app.
Yes, and that was a very, very good.
That helped us a lot.
Info, a very good tip. But there's an app out there. I might as well just say it.
Yeah, it's called Blinkist.
It's called Blinkist,
I think.
Blinkist, and it is an app where you can basically it's good
let
for.
Let me actually check the name.
It's still really good to read a book that you like, but this app will actually summarize
you can check it too.
Books within, I think, 15 to 20-minute increments. And it's a full summary of a book. So there's a bunch of books on there. There's business development books. There's finance books. There's self books for like bettering yourself, self-motivation, health books.
It's called Blinkist.
Yeah.
Yep. So the app's called Blinkist. Very helpful information on there. There's books about economics, business, even health, business, lifestyle. Everything. Anything you can name on the topics. There's a bunch of books, and they're converted into either text. You can read it as a text, or you can listen to it. Yeah. Or even read along with the audio, which is really cool.
We love listening to books, because whenever we're like driving to a client's place, let's say it was like an hour away or something, we could just throw it on into the car, like a podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to a book, or even do it in the morning, before we start our day.
With our coffee.
Yeah. Listen to a book, and you can just listen to the full summary of it and get the knowledge. And if you really like the information that's there, I would recommend buying the book.
Yeah, and read a little bit more about it.
So that's what we actually did too. Is we bought a few books and we read the full thing. So going into depth of the actual book. And it's very interesting. Like, it's actually really good information.
Yeah, and it's definitely really ideal that it's all summarized, because you can rip through so many books and just find the one that you kind of need help with. Like, let's say you need help with, I don't know, some like business operations. You find something around that. Yeah. You just listen to it for 15 minutes, a certain book. Let's say you like that book, then you can get more into it, or you just go to the next book. And with the hour drive, like, you can already listen to 2 books within that hour.
Almost, right? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Even on top of that too, we actually realized that a lot of the books that we are reading, they kind of all intertwined in each other, because we're reading a lot of business development books, and a lot of the books are kind of touching subjects that the other books are touching in almost, actually it's kind of the same way, but they're just saying it in a different way. They're rephrasing it in a different way, but it's always the same thing.
It's very common.
Very common. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and you can even change the speed too to what you're listening at, so you can go quicker or slower. Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Again, we're not sponsored by them or anything. Just want to say
it just helped us. Yeah,
very helpful
to learn more.
And then again, the mentor, very good. Definitely get a mentor. Very helpful. And then from there, we were also looking to see where we could build new connections, find out about other people in our space and see what they're doing. And so some of our mentors actually told us that we should check out our local communities. And there's like even maybe where you guys are living, local like
get-togethers, meetups,
startup places,
startups,
government places, organizations that actually offer help towards startups. And even through them, you can find out about events that happen. And so one of the tips we got was about an event. It was called Tech Tuesday. And we actually ended up going to that Tech Tuesday.
Yeah, we did. And that was really interesting.
Very interesting.
They do a bunch of different topics around tech. And honestly, every single one has been pretty neat so far.
Yeah.
We only went to 2
Yeah, we went
because
to
it's
two.
only one every first Tuesday every month. So we started that 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That convention sort of like meetup and networking on that side,
Yeah,
more in the city.
yeah,
But yeah, really interesting. The one we went to was actually the first one we
Yeah.
went to was around Web3, AI, and just sort of those two technologies and what's being built in this area, what's coming up, sort of seeing how things are basically going in the space, right? And
yeah. Even before that, we actually went to like a startup pitch.
you did, yeah.
That was really good too because we were able to meet startup owners and people that are interested in building new things.
Yeah.
And we made some cool connections. Actually,
Yeah, we
some
got to
really
see-
good connections.
Yeah, we got to see them pitches too.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got a partnership out of it as
Yeah,
well.
we did, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool too. And just meeting people in the space. And then then from there went to the Tech Tuesday, and it was actually about this like innovative technologies. So one of them was Web3. That was a very big topic as well.
Yeah.
Also, like kind of the opportunities around tech, so like software opportunities.
Yeah.
But it was more targeted towards the Web3 side. And if you guys don't know what Web3 is, that's like the blockchain technology.
Yeah, it's actually, some people misunderstand it as being one thing.
Yeah,
So Web3 is actually, I would like to actually say there's 3 things within Web3.
yeah, sure.
It's kind of funny how it's 3, but
Yeah.
people usually see it, the first thing people usually see, and that's the main thing they see, is they see like currency and finance as Web3, which in a way was very popular in the beginning, just because that's how people were making money and stuff. Then there's the second one, which is the blockchain, which is different than sort of the finance part, even though the technology of finance runs on that. But the blockchain part is sort of technology that's running on either servers or things like that, or multiple servers, right? Like a group of a network. And what it could be is either code that's being run on a server, and it's just everyone's keeping it up online, and people are just using that piece of code. And that's sort of like the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because it can't be changed by someone, because everyone sort of has a piece of code up there that you can utilize. So that's really cool. A lot of people don't see
the technology behind
a lot of people don't usually see that technology. They usually just see the coin. Like Ethereum, technically, it's technology.
Yeah.
Right. The VM. It's not really like a virtual environment in a way. It's like a hosted virtual environment where you can host code.
Exactly. Now I just want to slow down for everybody listening.
I know. I just want to say that. So like, it's not really. I don't look at it as the coin in a way.
I know.
I look at it as like the technology that's being hosted.
So a lot of you listening may think that Ethereum is just a coin. It's just for currency, like the way Bitcoin's developed.
Exactly.
Bitcoin's kind of developed as a new like standard, right? But Ethereum has a coin which funds the project.
The project, which is
the idea.
The idea of having.
And there's a lot of those. There's actually a lot of companies that do that.
Yeah.
So
there's utility behind it.
A lot of these coins that you see on the market were actually designed as like a stock for the company that you purchase, and the stock can raise capital like that, raise funds, and you're basically getting a piece of that company. Yeah. That's the whole point.
In a way.
And it's easier to do.
But everyone sort of gets distracted and just sees the first part, which is that investment part.
Yeah.
Even though there's a big, large chunk of the technology, like blockchain technology, which is just the coding. It's just regular code.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Just hosted on a network where many people are keeping it up online.
Yeah, so it can't go down. It can't be taken down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Decentralized.
And also I want to say with the raising the money, the reason why I think the coins also got so popular was because for a business to actually make it on the stock exchange requires a lot of, I guess, vetting and like processes and qualifications to get out on there to even raise money through selling your shares. And with the whole crypto technology, you can just do it right away,
which is a little unfortunate.
It was being used like crazy. Like it was almost
misused
sometimes,
unfortunately. Which is unfortunate.
So there's some bad actors, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't want to get confusing. But so there's 2 parts, right? In a way, that's how I see it. And then the third part is basically building that connection. So utilizing just the code part. So being able to have something hosted online, and then building the Web 2 part on top of that.
Yeah.
Right. So what's really cool is that people see wallets as sort of a way of just as money.
Yeah.
But in a way, a wallet is also a login. It's like a profile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can utilize that instead of having this whole infrastructure about hosting a login and all that stuff with emails and everything. You can just connect your wallet. That's a login, right? So that's kind of cool too. That functionality.
So a lot of people are using that functionality.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the main ones actually.
And some people just don't really see that, who are they're not really aware of the space, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But going on to that Tech Tuesday, it was just very informative because it was a space that we've always been exploring for quite some time, and it was cool to see what's happening within our area, to see how that's been advancing, what companies are founding or looking into
getting started. Yeah.
And there's actually one company, very interesting, and they were working on data management, because with the blockchain too, people keep talking about a ledger of information.
Yeah.
And with that, it's like organized data.
Yeah.
And so you can really organize data and manage it. and that was just a very interesting topic as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Only because for like the blockchain, if things are just too big, it causes problems. If the data is too big, so if you put an image up, it's really hard. So there's new systems being made right now
so that you can do
where
that.
you can do that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we've kind of heard about those, some local companies here as well, which is really cool. And that definitely helps when you build for Web 2. So Web 2 is just the current web which we're in right now, and that will help build for that in a way too, right? It will just make more things accessible, more servers, less cost.
That's exactly why we're keeping an eye on it too, is because we could help people build an application,
a secure
application where we help them with the front end. So like, let's say it's a web-based application, we help them with the front face, which is Web 2, basic website,
what's happening right now on the website,
which communicates with their technology they've kind of created. So that's why we're also interested in that stuff and looking into it. But that was really,
that's sort of the
really
website.
Cool.
We didn't get too deep into it, but
yeah,
that's definitely how we see the utilization of blockchain, which is the technology.
Yeah, exactly. To make something, to create.
That's really
We've
cool.
always watched it, and the kind of the cryptocurrency side didn't really interest us too much, or the NFT side. It was definitely an interesting idea, but we love the idea of making something. And then we came across making something on the actual
it's like web, right?
Blockchain.
It's like web development. It's the same idea. You're just making something with technology. And that's what's really cool.
Yeah. So overall, really cool experience. Really met some really cool people. Connected with amazing people as well. And from there, we actually discovered some more events that were happening in Montreal.
Yeah, it's funny. We started using our LinkedIn and stuff. Started connecting with people, and then
Can I just mention one thing? The whole idea too right now is we're trying to utilize our social media, our socials more. And you guys all know that we did already have a YouTube channel, and we did have Instagram. We started LinkedIn, and now we're trying to post on them more often and the reason we weren't posting is we were just really busy with work.
And we put on pause because we're just getting all the business operations finished first.
Exactly.
And then,
But right now we're working towards the social a little more, pushing that a little bit more, and you guys can just follow along with what we're doing.
Exactly. And during that time too, we finished updating our website as well.
Yeah, we did.
We got that live.
We revamped the whole thing. We worked on packages that we could sell. We revamped the app packages too. We thought about ideas of how to make them better for you guys. We also added more value as well.
Yeah, we recorded a bunch of videos too that are on the website now. So it's more of a video-based website, so it's more visual.
So you guys can understand what we do too.
Yeah, so we did that as well. And that was all sort of around the same time. And then we were sharing our contact and with like a link tree, we would update that because that was the one thing we forgot to change.
Yeah, I know,
website
it was funny.
Updating those links, so we fixed that. But so we did a lot of networking, a lot of connections, started getting more connections on LinkedIn. Everyone started posting more in that space, right? Because we made more connections and we found out about more events. And then we discovered even more events that were happening. So we went to a few of those.
Yeah, and that was actually in Montreal.
Exactly, and that's the next one, which is Montreal. So it was in the same sort of space, blockchain space. And that was really cool because it was sort of like an art showcase. It's called Drop the Act NFT.
And before that, we actually did another one, which you already forgot about.
Oh, right. We did.
We did a lot in the last few weeks.
That was a really interesting one. Actually, let's go back to that one.
Yeah. So let's recap the last few weeks. We'll start at the beginning here. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. So we just
start with Tech Tuesdays. We did Tech Tuesday. Then we did, so Invest Ottawa, Tech Tuesday. Then from Tech Tuesday, we did the one in Montreal, the first one. And that one was very interesting too. That's actually, we did a vlog for that one. And that was about AI and quantum computing mainly.
Yeah, so that was also
that's another
really
sort of tech space. See, it gets kind of like crazy when you look at everything.
But we have to follow along though. That's kind of our job too.
Just see what's going on, right?
See what's going on. We're in the tech, so we got to see what's going on. And I do love it.
That was very insightful.
Yes.
Because it wasn't really a talk about how amazing, I guess it was about how amazing the technology is, but it was more about sort of what the technology is already doing.
And also the concerns around it.
Exactly.
And the kind of the negatives too. They kind of questioned a lot too and kind of pressured the panelists into answering a few of the major questions that some people had. Even the biggest one was actually about security, like the security behind it all.
That's the thing, because they were mentioning that AI and quantum computing, it's growing so fast that they found out it's growing faster than they projected, where they can already, so the things that, of course, everything everything on the web, right, is encrypted, like your password, you have a password for things and stuff like that. And so now with AI and quantum getting more and more popular, getting stronger and stronger computers, they can start attacking that. They can start basically breaking that password. And that's what the concerning part is.
I just want to recap also for anybody who doesn't know what a quantum computer is. It's a major computer. It's like, just imagine a computer the size of a warehouse. Actually, they're probably bigger, some of them. Let's say a pretty big warehouse. And all it is a computer to do computing. So very complex math problems. It's a very mathematical computer. It's all about, it's actually a type of math,
quantum, solving problems,
quantum computing. And I'm pretty sure it's run by light, the computer.
I thought so too. Yeah.
I might be wrong. I might be another level of a computer, but
Yeah.
it's connected through light instead of actual cables.
I believe so.
So like fiber, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like fiber. Yeah.
Fiber optics. But it's basically solving math equations at a very complex level. And if you guys now make the connection between cryptography and mathematics, very related, right? And so another big concern, and even your passwords, your hashes and stuff like that, all the encryption is kind of math.
Yeah.
And so if a computer is very good at doing the math,
exactly, or even if the AI comes in there, gets trained on a certain way of doing math, it's gonna start breaking passwords faster than we thought.
Yeah. So if a computer is really good at doing math and it can do it at, let's say, I don't even remember the number, but let's say 10,000 times the speed of a computer.
They said something like that. It was crazy.
Something crazy like that. You can just tell that a computer can hack a simple password just like that.
Yeah.
So that's where the security problem comes in. It's like,
okay, so this is happening. So what we're gonna do about it to solve this problem, right? So that's kind of interesting. So that was a lot of topics were brought up about that. The concerns around the speed of the technology that's increasing so fast, especially other countries having that technology before we do, things like that, right?
So that was a really big concern, was the speed of how fast it's being adopted.
And then another thing is also the speed of how fast it's being adopted, and just like the usability too, like how much energy it takes, consumption, power. Right? That's also a problem. Of there's not enough energy to even run these, or even if we do, it's not really that great.
It's not efficient.
Right? It's not good for the power grid and stuff like that. So really interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of these quantum computers are actually being throttled by the power supply that they have currently.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I know, that's crazy. Yeah. They can do more, but they don't have enough power.
Exactly. So they're burning a lot of power. That's another concern they have. And the other concern that we all have, that I have today, to this day, that you may have right now watching, your phone may have this problem right now, and that is data. You do not have enough space, or you don't have enough storage available to back things up, because things are getting so much bigger. There's so many more things that we're just getting so much data every single day that's being collected or being even uploaded online. Yeah. Like this video right now is being uploaded. Yeah. That's data. It has to be stored.
Exactly. And with AI and training sort of the AI, it takes so much data and just keeps growing and growing.
It's actually really crazy to think about. Yeah. And we all became data hoarders.
Yeah. We're not deleting our photos.
Yeah, we're all data hoarders. And so we may not be hoarders in the real world on the outside. We're all hoarders online or on your computer. If your desktop, it looks crazy, you're a data hoarder.
Yeah, but we noticed that there's two main problems, or three main problems, is how fast sort of the encryption, like the power of that stuff. Yeah. How much energy it's taking.
Power.
And just like, the data, how much data.
And security.
That's what I said,
Yeah, but again, back to the security, like one topic they brought up was your home network could easily be compromised, which is not good, right? You're doing your banking through that, things like that. A printer, and you guys may think, oh, it's just a printer. Oh, it's just a printer network connected to the printer. But your printer, you may have actually already printed your passport. You may have printed your driver's license. You may have printed some sensitive documents. You may have printed your passwords to back them up on paper. Yeah. Guess what? That's all stored on the printer.
It's all cached somewhere. Yeah. Either encrypted, because I know that some printers encrypt. So
and then use a quantum computer, and that's like nothing for it. Yeah. So it's definitely concerning. And they did mention that a lot of them do mention that in 2030 we'll be seeing a lot of revamps in the security side. But we may even see it sooner because things are just moving so fast. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So that was very interesting topics. That was on the that next sort of meetup we went to, or that convention we went to. Very interesting. It was also by Blockchain North. Yeah. And then we went to the next one. So that was a week before the one we went to. But we did a vlog.
We also vlogged the Blockchain North. Yeah. We'll put it up on the screen. You guys can watch it if you'd like.
And then we went to the next one, which is a week later, which was sort of spontaneous, but that was the Drop the Act. That was that art show, sort of NFT. You can get a collectible with that. Interesting. They just want to try it. They basically are utilizing the technology. So it's interesting to see that. Yeah. And it was just all about like networking again. Yeah. So meeting like-minded people in the space, sort of like web, and really cool. Yeah. And while we're at that Drop the NFT Act, we actually met some cool people, and we actually met twins.
We met twins. We met another set of twins.
Yes.
That were in business.
Yeah.
And working together.
It's so funny because they're very similar to us.
Yeah, it's so cool.
They're also creative, both of them, and they both do like the same thing where they have like they're both, I don't know. It's just, I find it funny how people see them as sort of like the way that people are approaching them, because they're twins, is like the same way we get approached sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of cool to meet like-minded sort of individuals, like twins, for the first time in sort of a space like that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Because they're both into tech as well.
We actually were chatting with them for so long.
Yeah, we actually did such a deep dive of just tech talk.
It was crazy.
About the web and everything. And we actually ended up leaving the event and we ended up going to a bar.
Yep.
And from that, like we stayed up so late for that. I think it was like 3 a.m. almost.
We're just talking.
Like, yeah, 3 a.m. just talking. And then from that point on, headed to our hotel room and got ready for the next day.
Yeah.
For the convention.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny. While we're planning on going to that, I actually was scrolling.
Yeah, my brother was scrolling on his phone,
and we actually came across a cool event, a business conference that I think we only found this because we were connecting with people in the space, business people, and also because we were in Montreal.
Yeah, so that algorithm,
Yeah, it was happening in Montreal.
Yeah.
But I was scrolling. I'm glad I was scrolling at this moment because it was actually an event held by Raymond. He's a very successful businessman in Montreal. And he was holding a kind of mastermind / conference for business owners in Montreal. And he was actually bringing a very big business guru or a business guy on social media, a social media influencer and mentor. And his name is Tai Lopez. You guys may have heard of him. I know a lot of people do know him, but we've seen his stuff already for so long. And he actually made that really famous ad. Yeah. It's like "Here My Garage" with the Ferrari in the back.
Exactly. "Here My Garage." That was a really popular advertisement. I think it was in 2014 or 15. He's mentioned. Yeah. He ran that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we discovered him then, and ever since then we've been hearing him, seeing his clips, seeing his reels. Really interesting. Like he's one of the first people doing like the social media marketing, things like that. So
I remember following him and seeing his first few things, like his first video, and I was definitely skeptical about it at very first. And I remember going through his webpage and just really analyzing what he was doing. I was like, what? There's no way.
It was definitely interesting.
I was like, at first I was like, there's no way this is working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was working. And then I saw people taking his course too, and then I ended up finding out over these last few years that the amount of people that you watch online that have a very big impact or influence in your everyday life, I guess, even like very big YouTubers, very big business, I guess, gurus, and people that have actually really done some cool stuff. They were a lot of them were actually mentored by Tai Lopez.
Yeah, they all went through his course, which is really interesting.
Very interesting.
He's definitely helped a lot of people in the business space. He definitely has a very interesting look into the business space as well. He definitely looks at it more of like balance too.
Yeah.
He always has his 4 pillars.
Yeah.
So really interesting.
It's a good point.
Yeah, and he also talks a lot about knowledge, which is his 5th one. He says sometimes his 5th pillar, but he says knowledge is also important, which I agree. Always make yourself smart, keep learning. And the main thing too is like health, right? He talks about that too, and also like your mind and just learning all about that. Yeah.
Love, health, wealth, and happiness. So basically, you gotta be able to be healthy so you can actually enjoy life, right?
Exactly.
So go to the gym, be healthy, eat healthy. There's a lot of bad stuff that people are eating every single day and they're not really thinking about it, but just make that choice when you're eating or even drinking. Like, don't drink pop and stuff. Drink water, right?
Yeah. And then there's also, of course, love, which is like gotta have friends, gotta have relationships, socialize, enjoy life, share your journey.
Yeah, make connections.
Yeah.
And then
wealth, to be able to do that, right? To be able to be healthy, be able to enjoy with your friends.
Yeah, exactly. And he said wealth. He didn't say rich.
Yeah.
Wealth, which is a different way of having money or having wealth doesn't always have to be money either.
It can also be freedom.
Exactly.
Wealth can be
many things. So wealth, love, health, wealth, and happiness.
Exactly.
So being happy and doing something. Let's say you're doing stuff during the day. Do stuff that is your passion. Do stuff that's in your heart, which makes you happy because you're doing it for just doing it.
Exactly. You're doing it for you.
Yeah. And that was a big thing too. That we've always kind of seen from a lot of actually gurus or mentors that they all kind of talk about that is just to do something that you love and that you're passionate about. And if you do that, you will be way happier just doing that. Like Gary Vee is another good example.
Yeah, exactly. And he really focuses on the fact that if you have all 3 in the beginning, you basically automatically have sort of happiness in a way. Because sort of contribute to each other. So it's sort of like, that's why he says it's like a balance. But yeah, Gary Vee too, he talks about that, being authentic, being yourself, talk about things that you really enjoy. And when you start doing that, it's sort of like, it doesn't feel like a job.
No,
and plus it's what you really believe in. So you start actually doing a deep dive into it. Start learning
about it.
You
spend those hours learning.
You do spend those hours looking into the new technology because it's what you enjoy,
Yeah.
So things like that. It definitely helps motivate you to keep going when it gets a little bit boring.
Yeah, when it gets tough.
Yeah.
But and we actually ended up going then to Montreal. We drove in, and we ended up actually making it to Montreal. We had a hotel room. We stayed the night, but we ended up going to drop the act.
Yes.
By 7 figures.
That was the Friday. That was the day before the main event, and that was really cool. Talked about a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And then we went to, of course, the next day, which was the conference.
Yeah, the conference, and that was very, very fascinating.
Yeah.
Really, really
cool. How many speakers were there actually? Like I didn't count
physically, but I'm pretty sure it was at least 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a lot.
It's crazy.
It was so much information too.
So much information. Very, very good information too. Like just about any stages of business
Yeah.
where you're at. It was really helpful.
Even the people we met there,
Yeah.
what they were doing, and you could kind of ask them questions too. So there's some people that were in the sales, some people that were in the marketing side, some people in e-com. So talking about the e-com side,
Yeah.
and it's funny because our business kind of touches a lot of those things, right? There's always the importance of marketing,
Yes.
which leads to sales,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta know that stuff. Then you gotta know your e-com, which is the web, right?
Yeah.
You gotta know that stuff. And then when you're doing your videos, your social media, you gotta know content strategy and social strategy, and then personal brand.
Exactly.
It's like all that stuff.
And that's
ties
one
together.
thing that was actually stressed a lot during the convention was personal brand, authentic, being you, right?
Yes.
Because it sort of it builds credibility too, and it's just something. If you do your personal brand, you sort of do things you like. Right?
Yep.
You're doing it about you, which is the main thing, and then you just keep going. People can follow you along, and I think the biggest thing, I think another reason why you want to do what you enjoy, and to sort of be authentic, is because as I said, it's easier when you're grinding or when it gets boring, but you're also going to find people in the space that are like you.
That's true.
Right? So you already automatically build friends.
Yeah, that's right. You relate way faster with somebody.
Exactly.
Because you're going to be already meeting the right
You're finding
people.
people you like to hang around with because it's like you. And that's exactly where it is, right? Love, like the friendship, that's exactly where you start building that right there.
And then you work together and you build wealth.
Yeah.
And then you're happy because you're doing it for just doing it because you enjoy it.
And that's, I think it's the main thing, is that you're building a community. That's the personal brand. You're building a community that there's like-minded people like yourself. Yeah.
So all in all, very, very good event. Really glad we went. I'm glad it actually landed on the same weekend.
I know. I'm so happy.
Friday, Saturday.
I'm so happy we went to. I'm so happy that it wasn't on the day of the other one.
No,
because we would have missed it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it all worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
We ended up going there again. Really glad we went. And Montreal, the city, really cool. Really, really cool. Really cool place. A lot of young people. A lot of art, which I love. A lot of it just feels a little different, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say it feels like Europe. Right? It has that European touch to it.
I do.
I do agree with that.
It does, yeah.
But Europe is still different.
It is.
I have to say it.
But I do have to say Montreal, there's a little bit more, like there's a lot of creative
There is a lot
of art being on display there too.
That is true.
Kind of cool. It's like unique a little bit. But that's what I find really cool. But the main takeaway I think from that convention that we went to, the main stuff, I would say, I'll just highlight a few, even though there's so many different topics.
Yeah, let's actually highlight 5 big takeaways, or the main takeaways that we saw constantly, time and time again, that were mentioned to us.
Yes.
And just talk about those a little bit. But one of the main kind of takeaways, number 1 would be take action.
Take action. Just do it. Go ahead. Don't make it, don't overthink it. Just go and take action. Because if you start taking action, you start seeing the results, right? Because if you just keep thinking about it, you're never going to see it. So take action.
Basically, like Nike had it right.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it. And it's literally just doing it. So it kind of intertwines or ties into not doing something 100%, right? Like caring too much.
Or worrying about it.
Or worrying about other people again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly that. Don't worry about other people. Just do it. Another thing too is mindset.
Yes.
You got to have the right mindset.
That'd be number 2.
So the reason why is because if you have the right mindset, you're going to start doing the right things. So that it would be either the mindset of the reason why you're doing it or where you want to be, right? If you have a certain goal with that mindset, you know what to do. Or you meet someone, you're like, hey, we could actually do this together. Or you can ask a certain question. Let's say you meet a mentor and you know your goal. You can ask them a question around that. So
you have to have the right mindset to do something. You have to have the right mindset to actually go for something. Let's say going for a leap and jumping into something that is uncomfortable. But the reason you went into that uncomfortable situation is because you had the mindset and you believe that it'll help you
get to that point.
You get to that point.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, driving to Montreal, right?
Yeah, they're trying to say without that mindset, you won't even start.
Yeah. So you need to have the right mindset, and that takes time.
Yeah.
Talk about that too. It takes time to develop the mindset. You may have to change your person a little bit, your personality, and kind of think more about why you're doing something. So that comes again to that passion.
Yeah.
Like think about why you're doing something and what
you want to do,
and your values and the direction you want to go, and that kind of all ties again to action and mindset.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, those are the 2 very big takeaways.
Yeah.
And then of course not caring about what other people think. So that's the main thing too.
Yeah. Number 3 actually. Sorry, we already said number 2. Number 3 is personal brand.
Yeah, personal brand
and community.
Community. So they kind of go kind of hand in hand. They mentioned that you could either build a personal brand, which is sort of like your community, or if you don't like being on camera, you could build sort of a community, a faceless community, which is still kind of a personal brand. Yeah.
But basically building relationships in the kind of the genre you're in. So like in the interests you have. So build relationships and build that community.
Yeah.
You know? Because that way you'll have people around you that could either support you, you could learn from, you could even help too. That's another big one too, is you can help other people, right? You can help other people get to a certain point without you even realizing. Because you may know a little bit more than someone else, and then they learn something.
Just help you that much more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's the third one. And then the fourth one would be definitely sales. Sales is everything too.
Yeah.
Like marketing,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is the logo doesn't matter. It's about just knowing who needs the product and what problem you're solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, back to action.
Yeah.
Just gotta do it.
Yeah. And the mindset. You
And
gotta
the
know
mindset, yeah.
who, what, right? Yeah.
So number 5 that we both agree on, I honestly really big takeaway as well.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to rank these.
Yeah.
But number 5 is to just keep going. So committing.
Yeah, like grit, like thick skin, just keep at it. And it kind of ties into all of it, honestly.
Yeah.
That's like the 5, really.
Yeah.
It's just like take action. But again, for the action, you need a mindset, which is like your goal.
Which you have to change your personality. You have to change kind of the way you think. So be willing to change with mindset and action.
And with that is also not caring what other people think.
Yeah.
Building a personal brand so you have the people around you that will help you continue with that mindset, right? And of course, having grit, which is staying at it. And that also ties into everything, which is doing something you like, because then you'll stay at it.
So it's basically do what you love, passion, grit, action, and mindset.
Yeah. And stay at it.
Stay at
determination.
Yeah. So that's the biggest ones. That's the biggest takeaway we got here. And believe it or not, I actually have a really interesting story or funny story.
Yeah, it ties into everything.
That ties into exactly everything that we learned this weekend, and something that actually happened that I kind of didn't really realize as it was happening.
Yeah, we didn't even notice really. It was sort of like a thing that was happening.
Yeah. So I'll get right to the story, but we're heading to Montreal, and we packed the car, and we're ready to go for this road trip. And for us, it's quite far away. It's quite a drive.
It's like 3 hours.
Yeah. So it's quite far away. It's quite a drive, and usually the car, you check everything, make sure things are good. If you're second guessing it, right?
That's what we always do. We always make sure we check the oil, we check the tire pressure, and of course make sure the tires are all tight and ready to go, so that we can do the far trip. Yeah. And in this case, we didn't do that this time.
Yeah.
And we're like, you know what? Let's go. We're kind of like had to get going. Want to beat traffic.
And so I actually checked.
You actually did check the oil though.
I checked the oil level when I was parked before I left. It was all good, and we were driving away towards where we had to go. And as we're on the highway, all of a sudden I got a low tire pressure warning that my tires were getting low out of air. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll stop somewhere, get some air. And then I had to get gas as well because we're getting low in gas. So I was like, you know what? I'll get some gas. I'll get some air, and then we'll keep going. And as I was getting the gas and I turned the car again.
Just finished filling up.
I got a warning that I need to add oil to my car because there was about more than a liter of oil missing. I was like, no, there's no way.
It's like the bar from when we checked when we left the house was to max, almost too much, by the way.
Yeah.
To way too low.
Yeah. So like, there's no way. And I knew for a fact I wasn't losing oil. And I was like, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But at the moment, I wasn't really thinking that.
We're just like,
oil. I was like, oh, there's no way we should take in your car or whatever. Went to get the oil.
Yeah.
So I got the last bottle, right? Went outside, and all of a sudden a storm was coming.
Yeah.
It was getting really freaking windy.
It's so windy,
and it was pouring rain suddenly. I had my hood open. I was trying to pour the oil into the engine.
Yeah.
And the wind pushed the oil away from the engine.
Yeah.
Away and just blew it. Like the wind just blew the oil like it was nothing.
You couldn't even like put it in the hole. So we had to like block
the wind. Decided to drive to Costco.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna get air there. And then we just drove there quick so I could fill up the oil there as well with like a wall in the way.
Yeah.
So put on the air nozzle to fill up the air, and my tires were fine.
Yeah, it wasn't even low. Even though I told you it was too low.
Yeah.
It was actually too much air.
Yeah.
And then after that, we found a little corner where there's no wind. Poured the oil in. Then
we finally headed
towards Montreal, and then we hit traffic.
Yeah.
Hit traffic, and we hit traffic, I think, in 3 spots.
Yeah.
And the trip took us
5 hours.
5 hours.
It was insane.
Versus 3.
Yeah.
And we basically were like 15 minutes late to the event that we were scheduled to be on time for by being 2 hours early. So that was crazy.
Yeah. But we made it.
We made it.
Right. And then we ended up getting back to the hotel very late. It was like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
3 a.m, and then from there we headed to the convention. That one went smooth. And I was like, wow, it was good. Thank God we made it. Started driving home, and on the way home, we're actually driving home the same night, and I think it was like 1 in the morning.
After the convention,
2 in the morning. Really close to getting back, about an hour away, and my car got all unbalanced all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on? It's like
this weird like imbalance.
Yeah, it was like
kind of noisy. So we were tired anyways. We wanted to pull over for a coffee.
Yeah,
so we
pulled out.
We saw McDonald's, and we were like, oh, let's go over there for a coffee.
Yeah.
We pulled out, and it was weird.
Checked right away what was going on. Just the common check on the tires to see maybe there are something's going on here.
Yeah.
And sure enough, one of my tires was getting loose.
Yeah.
Which
every single
never happened to me before.
Never.
Ever.
And you just put the tires on too, and like, everything was tight.
Yeah, we torqued it and it was getting loose. And so we were basically stuck in this parking lot in the middle of the night, and we didn't have anything to fix it with. But I ended up asking a few people that were going through the McDonald's drive-through.
Yeah, took a few questions. A few people drove through, and then we finally found someone who
had a wrench.
So
thanks to that guy.
Adjustable wrench, which is interesting.
Yeah, adjustable wrench was exactly what I needed, because who knows what lug nut size other people have. But I got the wrench, I tightened up the wheels, and we were good to go home, and we made it home.
Yeah.
But that just kind of shows you, and looking back, I couldn't believe it, because I actually fixed the tires at my old job as well.
Yeah, we stopped at your old job.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, it stopped me there.
Yeah, your typical like retail location, which you stopped at to fix your tire.
Yeah, and then we ended up looking back at this whole story, this whole situation, and it kind of shows that there's so many things that were actually in our way, preventing us from going to this event, and we still managed to make it, and we just pushed through. We kept going. We had
that goal, right? We had that
mindset of going and committing and going and doing it, and we did it. We made it home. But there were so many things where we could just stop.
So many problems that we didn't expect to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it just shows you, like, just having that right goal and wanting to do it and doing it for the right reason, as like this is something that you really want to do.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get through the parts that get really tough or sort of in your way.
Yeah.
So you find a solution to the problem then.
Yeah, it was a really interesting situation that happened.
Yeah.
But we made it back, and now we're here, sitting here, doing the podcast and recapping. We actually did a huge session too, where we just sat down.
We sat down, we wrote down everything we learned.
We had to really sit down and think about it, because there's so much information.
Yeah, we're actually going to record this podcast the next day, which was the brainstorming session of what we all learned. But we realized that it took us almost the whole day to write everything down what we learned. So we did the podcast the next day, which is today. And then from there on, we also are going to start building our personal brand, which we were already starting to do. But we're really going to take it on now and start doing this personal brand, because it's something we enjoyed already since day one.
Yeah.
And
even back then, we loved vlogging and just documenting what we were doing. But we weren't, at the time, it was hard
for us. We were doing it for the right reason again.
We weren't doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
We're doing it just for the algorithm for YouTube. But now we actually are doing it for the reason of showing you guys our journey, which is like the biggest thing, is just share what we're doing. And we're actually doing stuff now. Yeah. So that was another reason why we want to keep going. But really cool week, really good month. And again, really good experiences, interesting stuff, and challenges too. We're
going to start making some profiles too. We've decided to make our own personal profiles as well, because we're trying to think about how we could do this with the Twin Code Media. Twin Code is us, but then Twin Code Media is the business.
And people know us by our name now.
We don't really want to post everything on the business, and then we have some connections that we might, like, let's say I make a connection on the side somewhere, my brother makes a connection somewhere. It gets confusing where, like, who talked with who. So we're going to start making our own personal. We can also start posting some more private things, like, let's say I go to a different convention that's maybe not around the business. Yeah. We can start posting about that and talking about that, where it's not necessarily always on the business page.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a personal brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our goal, of course, was to meet, like-minded people.
Yes.
And of course, connect more within the business space. And look at that. Within, I would say, 2 months, probably, we began doing all this networking. Yeah. And look at that. We met
one of our mentors.
One of our first sort of business gurus or business mastermind,
like
or mentors,
influencer mentor
or social that's on mentor. Social media that we saw the very first time when we were on YouTube. We actually met him in person.
Yeah, it's so cool. We actually shook his hand. That was kind of cool. Yeah, we're lucky enough to do that. He snuck out though on the back door, but really cool experience overall, and it just shows again that if you're willing to go somewhere and try to do it, you'll manage to get there.
You figure out a way.
You figure out a way. But it was really cool overall. Really glad we did this, and we'll be doing more of this content like we mentioned. So stay tuned to our social medias. Follow our channel, so subscribe to Twin Code. Yeah. Check out our Instagram, Twin Code Media, for our business, and our personals. We'll put them on the screen. Yeah, exactly. And go follow those, and we'll keep you guys all up to date on what we're doing and keep documenting this journey. So again, back to our goal of the last, 3 to 2 months, was to make new connections, get out, meet local communities, and see what people are doing in the space. And also finding new mentors and just learning from what people have done, learning from what people have tried, and also what people are doing. Yeah, and we started that, I would say, around 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 to 2.5. It's crazy how when we put your mind to something, sort of like that mindset, and look at that, we were able to meet Tai Lopez. Yeah. Like the first business guru we ever saw online on YouTube, we actually met him, and we even shook his hand. Yeah, it's crazy. We got to shake his hand as he snuck out the back. Yeah, 2 months. And even not just Tai Lopez, we met so many cool business people. Also very informative information, and even like Raymond
It was really great to meet
Met
as well
some new
and hear
people.
them speak, and
I've got introduced to some new interesting people as well.
yeah,
Like
just grew the network.
yeah, exactly. Grew the network.
New connections. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool though. Really cool to think that that was one of our goals, and we've already just got to see one of our mentors from way back that we've been watching for a long time.
Yeah. So with that, we'll leave that there, and we'll, I guess, cut it here, and we'll see you in the next podcast or vlog. And I would say we leave off with a few of our next goals, which I think the next thing would be building teams.
Building teams.
That's the biggest thing.
Figuring out that operations and getting understanding how people can help you in the business, and also how you can help them as well when they're working with you.
Yeah.
So making sure they get value out of it as well.
Yeah.
And
figuring out how we can optimize and use a space, or even utilize the space more. And of course, build a personal brand.
So we're
putting our social media on the screen, and we'll start doing that.
Figure out where things are happening.
Yeah.
So figure out where things are happening, like areas, locations, and just see where things are going. Keep following along with the new tech.
Looking at trends,
and finding new opportunities.